Fiat has largely built its success on the production of small cars whose appeal is in their character and value. With the Panda and Punto in its portfolio, it's no wonder the iconic 500 was revived, enticing customers seeking something fun rather than functional. The Fiat 500 unashamedly appeals to the emotions and is a modern interpretation of the classic small Fiat from the past. Introduced in 2008 and substantially re-engineered in 2015, the 500 hatch echoes the design of the rear-engined original. Chief rivals for quirky or premium appeal are the larger mini hatch, DS3 and Vauxhall Atom, but the 500 also has stiff competition from everything from the chic Volkswagen Up and Citroën C1, to the Renault Twingo and Smart Fortwo and Forfeit wins. And while it sells on looks alone, there's deeper appeal to the 500 with a quirky interior, efficient engine range and appealingly low running costs. Fiat 500 drips with retro cool. Much of the modern Fiat 500's appeal lies in its retro looks that hark back to the 1950s original. Fiat has carefully updated these looks to retain the essence of the original while making the car bigger on the inside to give it a modicum of practicality. Like the Mini that also borrows so much from its heritage, the Fiat 500 has an instant appeal for many buyers, and they can build on this with a vast array of options. These include everything from a set of alloy wheels to bold stripes for the bodywork, and a huge number of exterior color options and matching interiors to go with it. Excellent city runaround, a little outpaced elsewhere. The zippy handling and compact size of the Fiat 500 make it ideal as a city car. And while there are 4 seats, the restricted amount of rear legroom means the back ones are best reserved for kids on the school run. A small boot further underlines the 500's city-dwelling credentials, but at least it's possible to flip the seats down to free up a bit more room for bulkier items, while useful touches like a button on the dash to lighten the steering for city driving and to make parking in tricky spots easier reinforce its urban focus. However, on the motorway, the 500 feels out of its natural habitat. The dinky engines, choice of 0.9 and 1.2-litre petrols and a 1.3-litre diesel, can struggle with overtaking and steep inclines, requiring the driver to change down a gear or two on the motorway. There's also some buffeting from trucks and larger cars felt in the compact Fiat. However, the small size does make the 500 a good car for country lanes, where its narrow dimensions let it slip through gaps more readily, while visibility is excellent. Just a pity it's not more engaging as you zip along them. Regular updates keep it on the pace. The Fiat 500 had a mild update in 2014 with new interior fabric, a new digital display behind the steering wheel and a more powerful 0.9-litre twin-air petrol engine joining the range. A more extensive facelift occurred in 2015, with tweaked Euro 6 engines, different styling, and a longer list of customization options. A 3D effect grille and new LED daytime running lights were added, plus ring-shaped taillights with body-colored centers jazzed up the rear end. Want more performance? If you're after a proper hot hatch, then you'll want to look at the Abarth version of the Fiat 500. With a souped-up body and turbocharged engines, it's a proper little pocket rocket. Read about it here. The verdict: don't think that just because the basic design dates back to 2008 that it's an old and unappealing car. The Fiat 500 still looks fresh, and more recent updates to the interior mean it keeps up with the competition when it comes to tech. There are good new car deals available, and used examples are abundant. Don't worry too much about reliability, this one is proving exceptionally dependable in the long term. The Twin Air is great to drive, but won't deliver anywhere near its promised fuel consumption if you drive it with gusto, but it's the best of the lot if you regularly venture out of town as well. But for city-dwelling drivers, the 500 is hugely relevant, and a surprisingly capable 2+2-seater city car that looks and feels cheerful to drive. Considering its reasonable price, as long as you don't compare it with the mechanically similar Panda sister car, the 500 is a bargain. Still want that mini hatch? To find out more, read on for a more detailed look in our in-depth Fiat 500 review. There are quite a few engines offered and not all are available depending on how old the Fiat 500 you are looking at is. Pre-2015 cars, a 4-cylinder 1.2-litre petrol engine was the entry point to the 500 range, and its 69 bhp was sufficient for town driving, but it felt breathless on the motorway. A 1.4-litre petrol engine with 100 bhp was offered from launch in 2008, but it was replaced by the technically intriguing 2-cylinder twin-air engine in late 2010. It develops 85 bhp from its 0.9-litre turbocharged motor, which doesn't sound like much, but it has plenty of low rev shove and a pleasing engine note. New twin air introduced in 2014. In 2014 a new 0.9-litre twin air was announced. This version makes 103 bhp and 145 Nm of torque at 2000 revolutions per minute. The extra power makes a big difference on the road, and the 500 finds gathering speeds on slip roads or pulling out of junctions far easier. It can reach 0 to 62 miles per hour in 10 seconds and feels quite nippy and agile on the roads, while fuel economy is also impressive at 67 miles per gallon combined based on official figures. A dual-logic automated manual gearbox is available with both the twin air and 1.2 engines, but it's not as quick-witted or smooth in its shifts as it should be, so best to stick with the manual gearbox. Diesel engines: a 1.3-litre multijet engine with 95 bhp and later 75 bhp was offered on pre-2015 cars, but not immediately after the facelift. Post-2015 facelift engines: the base 1.2-litre engine remains, claiming 60.1 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 110 grams/km. The pair of twin air units now promise 74.3 miles per gallon and 67.3 miles per gallon and 90 and 99 grams/km respectively. A diesel and economy-focused 1.2-litre car will follow. Recommends the charms of the twin air engine are hard to ignore and its fine economy and emissions appeal, though you need to adapt your driving style to get the best fuel consumption. While it might not be as pin-sharp as a Mini on the road, the 500 is certainly nimble and able to be hustled through gaps in traffic. It is composed out of town on country roads, with good body control, although the steering has a slightly artificial feel to it. The ride is firm like an Audi A1, and the 500 also grips quite well even when traveling at slightly higher speeds than would be typical for most owners. Stability control is a standard feature on 1.4-litre models and optional on the rest of the range. Steering on all models is fitted with Fiat's dual drive system, which, when activated, decreases the resistance of the wheel, making turning it even easier. This function disables above 44 miles per hour. The appealing looks of the 500 extend to the interior with a choice of sport or luxury finishes for the dashboard on higher specification models, seemingly influenced by the 2003 Nissan Micra with the ivory-colored finishes on the lounge model. The gear stick is mounted on the dashboard, making it ideally placed without cluttering up the floor of the car. Visibility is good thanks to the proportionally large glass area and decent-sized door mirrors. Fiat 500 comfort is fine for two adults on short town trips, but the lack of lumbar support really shows up on longer trips. The engine has a rather raucous note at high revs, but the 1.2-litre in particular wasn't responsive enough at low revs to avoid having to change down through the gears. Restricted space in rear row. There's just about enough legroom behind the front seat for average-sized adults, but rear headroom isn't so good. However, air conditioning is standard on lounge, while electric windows are standard across the range. Plenty of trims to choose from. Avoid Spartan entry-level. Pop Special Edition models can be expensive. The standard Fiat 500 range is easy to get your head around, consisting of Pop, Pop Star, Lounge and S models, plus a selection of special editions. Standard Fiat 500 hatchback equipment. Kicking off the range is the 500 Pop, but we'd only recommend this model if you desperately want a 500 just for its image, as it's not exactly bristling with equipment. It comes with 14-inch steel wheels, electrically adjustable door mirrors, electric windows, radio with USB and ON connection, 7 airbags, LED daytime running lights. The Pop Star adds a couple of extras: 15-inch alloy wheels, door mirrors in body color with defrosting function, air conditioning, split folding rear seats. The Lounge adds a touch more style and luxury: fixed sunroof, chrome exterior details, leather steering wheel with audio controls, rear parking sensors, height adjustment for the driver's seat, fog lights, cruise control, 5.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system with Bluetooth and DAB radio. The 500S focuses more on a sporty image and builds on Lounge's kit, with 15-inch graphite alloy wheels, sportier looking front and rear bumpers, side skirts and rear spoiler, graphite door mirror covers, leather sports steering wheel, sports seats, 7.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system, 7.0-inch TFT instrument cluster, tinted rear windows. Fiat 500 hatchback optional extras. There are plenty of optional extras available for the 500, with more available the further you move up the range, with the likes of half-leather upholstery, infotainment upgrades to include sat-nav, a Beats stereo upgrade, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and climate control available for the interior. There's to specify outside, though, with various decals to set your 500 apart, from bitone paint schemes to Italian flag stripes down the side of the car, as well as the usual suite of alloy wheel upgrades and brighter lights, bike sounds in this case, chrome exterior trim or black roof, for example. 3-star Euro NCAP safety rating. No autonomous emergency braking. All come with 7 airbags as standard. When originally tested a short time after it launched, the 500 scored a 5-star safety rating, albeit under the previous testing scheme by Euro NCAP. Since then, safety standards have improved dramatically, and the 500 was retested again 2017 under the more stringent regime. As such, it's now been downgraded to a 3-star rating, largely due to the lack of availability of autonomous emergency braking, even as an option. All models come with 7 airbags as standard, front, side and curtain airbags plus an e-airbag for the driver. All cars have 2 sets of ISOFIX child seat mounting points on the rear bench. Compact dimensions mean cramped rear seats, decent space in the front, but you said high boot is small, but well-shaped. The Fiat 500 is certainly no family car, with dinky rear seats and an equally minute boot. However, 2 adults will fit in the front as long as they're not too tall. The high-mounted seats may prove to be an issue for a taller driver and passenger, but it's fine for most. The 500's tall body accommodates passengers well. In the back, children will have no issue when it comes to space. However, taller passengers may struggle to stay comfortable on longer journeys. Legroom is limited, especially if there are taller front seat occupants, and headroom is limited if you're taller, too. For most though, you won't be buying a 500 for its space, so it's unlikely to be too much of a concern for many. The 500 is one of the smallest cars on UK roads, so you won't struggle with its size, even on the smallest roads, whether that's in a tight city centre car park or within country lane. What helps is very good visibility thanks to a large area of glass, as well as flat sides and small overhangs. You'll have no trouble fitting it into any parking space, and is probably one of the few cars on sale that'll easily fit in a standard-sized UK garage. As you'd expect for such a small city car, the 500 has an equally dinky boot. At 185 litres, you'll need to pack lightly for a weekend away, but access is easy thanks to a square tailgate, and its square shape means it's easy to load it up. It's much shallower at the top than at the bottom, though, so you won't be able to pack in any larger items without folding the rear seats down. On most of the range, these split 50 hours 50 minutes and fold, but leave a lip as the seat bases don't move. Doing this frees up a total of 550 litres of space.